I'm grateful that Giovanna Conti invited me to speak at this year's Ting Winter Solstice. I hope my contribution will also honor Dr. Hamer's memory. Do you know what I find most fascinating about the Germanic medicine discovered by Dr. Hamer? It's the freedom that you gain through them. I'm not talking about the two freedoms that come with it, such as the freedom to travel or the freedom to choose your own path in life. You only become truly free through the off freedoms. In other words, when you can be free of fear, free of heteronomy, and free of coercion. Just as Germanic medicine spreads the idea of freedom today, the Germanic understanding of God spread the idea of freedom among our ancestors, and this was almost inevitable. To clarify this, I would first like to take a look at the Germanic understanding of God and later at Germanic medicine. Odin, the All-Father of the Germanic tribes, is and has always been depicted as a one-eyed man. What is behind Odin's one-eyed nature? Odin wandered restlessly through the world. Something tormented him and drove him on again and again. It was the search for knowledge and wisdom, for perfection and divinity, whatever you want to call it. But no matter how hard Odin tried, he found nothing of the sort, which only made him more anxious. One day, in his search, he came across the original source of knowledge and wisdom. It lies under the world tree, the world ash tree Yggdrasil, and is guarded by the giant Mimir. Mimir noticed Odin's torment and made him a suggestion. He offered him a drink from the spring, but demanded an eye of Odin as a sacrifice in return. Odin took Mimir's offer to help, plucked out one of his eyes, threw it into the fountain, and was allowed to take a sip. He had thus found the key to omniscience, wisdom, divinity. What does this mean? Has Odin actually torn out his eye? I discovered the explanation in this wonderful book, Urwissen Europas by Elisabeth Neumann-Gundrum. In it, the author describes how she read the above story to a class of 11-year-old children. She then asked the children how to interpret the Odin story. I quote from the book. One girl from the eagerly listening audience of 50 immediately spoke up and said, Odin has cast one of his eyes into himself. The other children spontaneously turned their heads towards the girl, looked at her seriously, and, after a moment of silence, they all agreed. Odin found omniscience, divinity, in himself. All of this was already within him. And just as it is in him, it is in every living being. Every plant, every animal, every human being has divine sparks within them. Everything is divinely animated. Simple and ingenious, the Germanic understanding of God discovered by Odin is in absolute harmony with Mother Nature. Unadulterated, it inevitably leads to a way of life close to nature with corresponding values. Now, it's also clear why the Germanic tribes considered springs, stones, and trees to be sacred, why they humanized their gods, and why they did not value mummery and hocus pocus. Take a look at this picture of Odin and Mimir. It vividly shows this understanding of God. Both stand upright, straight, at eye level, facing each other as equals. Mimir merely gives Odin wise advice. He must decide and act for himself. No one stands between Odin and his understanding of God. The connection is unadulterated, logical, because if you know God within you, you are divine yourself. What else is there to experiment with religiously from a third party? The unadulterated Germanic understanding of God made people free of fear and free of heteronomy, so that the highest good of the Germanic tribes developed from it freedom. Are we now coming to Germanic medicine? It's a kind of rediscovery of the Germanic understanding of God. Just as Odin first discovered the Germanic understanding of God within himself, Dr. Hamer also first discovered Germanic medicine within himself. The violent loss of his son Dirk made him wonder whether the suffering inflicted on him could be linked to his testicular cancer. He has discovered within himself the key to the divine biological laws, and just as these divine laws were in him, they are in every living being. Every plant, every animal, every person carries Germanic medicine within them. Mother Nature does not act in a morbidly evil way, but in a divinely helping way. Simple and ingenious, Germanic medicine is in absolute harmony with Mother Nature. Unadulterated, it inevitably leads to a lifestyle close to nature with corresponding values. It becomes clear why mummery and hocus pocus have no value. The image of Odin and Mimir can easily be transferred to Dr. Hamer and his patients. They stood upright, straight, at eye level, facing each other as equals. Dr. Hamer was happy to give his patients helpful advice, but they had to decide and act for themselves. No one stands between the patient and Germanic medicine. The connection is unadulterated. Logical, because if you know that testicular cancer is a sensible reaction of Mother Nature to the loss of a loved one or animal, what else is there to experiment with medically from a third party? Unadulterated Germanic medicine frees you of fear, coercion, and heteronomy, from which the highest good develops freedom. However, you don't get freedom for free. With this in mind, I recommend that you turn an eye inwards to find Germanic medicine. Thank you, Dr. Hamer.